Do you have fatty liver, fatty heart, or fat on your other organs? How do you get rid of it? Let's find out. Hello and welcome to another edition of the Ask Dr. Pickel show. All right, so we want to talk today about fatty liver, fatty organs, what's also known as visceral fat. And this fat can deposit on different areas. So what really is this and what's it about and how does it all happen? So let's dive right in here. Okay, so basically we've got two types of fat in our body. Well, not two types, but two places where it can deposit to a degree. Let's kind of focus on those. All right, so the first one is this subcutaneous fat. Now, that's the fat that's right under our skin. This is most of the time the fat that develops that we kind of know is there. Now, the other sneakier fat that really can get into our organs and really affect their function, which is not a good thing, is what's called visceral fat. And of course, visceral fat, we need some visceral fat, and we actually need it in certain areas. We have visceral fat. We have some in our liver. We actually need it for support. It actually provides some of the architecture to keep certain organs in place, keep certain areas of our body in place. So it's fantastic stuff to a degree. Some people actually get fat injected like into their lips or into their cheeks. And, it's like, hey, that makes you look younger. Yeah, you want a certain amount of fat. But when it deposits in the wrong place, that's a problem. We normally have sometimes around the intestines. That's when it can create problems, sometimes around the kidneys, the peritoneum, bone marrow. We definitely need some pericardium. That's around the heart, soles of the feet. We actually need that fat pad to cushion us. Now, eyeballs is like, why do I need fat around my eyeballs? Well, the eyeballs are basically held in place by the fat surrounding it. Now, have you ever seen maybe someone who gets up in age, maybe they're like in their late 80s or 90s, and they almost have that sunken eye appearance? Yeah, they've lost the fat around these areas. So it does affect the way we look to a degree. And then certain blood vessels will have fat near them. So what about this? I mean, what happens here? How do we develop this fat that can start to cause problems? Well, the biggest cause is insulin resistance. What's insulin resistance? Well, that's an early blood sugar problem. That's pre-diabetes, sometimes even before that. Or when you go into diabetes type 2, yeah, your insulin resistance is really high, meaning insulin is not getting blood sugar into your cells well. It's like I'm eating, that food that I eat turns into blood sugar no matter what I eat. And then that blood sugar has to go to my cells to give me energy. And that's the way it should work. Now, your body always takes some of that and stores it for later because we need some stored energy. Stored energy is important. So we always want some storage, but it's when that storage becomes excessive. Then your body's like, okay, I got to turn all this extra blood sugar into what's called a triglyceride. And that's the stored form of blood sugar, the stored form of energy. But now where are you going to store it? Well, let's start storing it in the liver and the muscles. Those are the two kind of starting places. After a while, though, the body says, you know what? They're getting pretty full, especially the liver. We got a major fatty liver. Let's start to store it on organs. And then you start to get deposition in these other areas, which is not a good thing because the normal route is if it goes into the liver, yeah, we should use it for storage because we need that short term. Let's say we had to go a partial time without eating. Yeah, we need that extra storage. Or if we decided we were going to exercise really hard and maybe we're doing some fasting or something at the same time, yeah, we're going to use some of that extra. So now what should happen is it turns into the storage and then via insulin, which is the taxi cab that carries it there, and then it exits back out. There's something called glucagon. It's kind of like the opposite of insulin, and then that turns it back into glucose for energy for our cells. That's what should happen. But if all this doesn't happen and it's stuck in here, yeah, we start to get fatty organs. Not a good deal whatsoever. So, when we have that, basically, what do we need to do? We want to get this fat off of our liver, off of our organs. So, what about it? All right, the first thing we've got to do is we've got to get the insulin resistance under control. The biggest thing with that is, so how do you maybe know if you're in insulin resistance? You're craving sweets after meals. You're feeling tired after meals. Yeah, you're like, hey, I just ate lunch. Now I need to take a nap, or I need to go to the coffee shop and get a big coffee to wake myself back up and get that caffeine burst. These are these signs of insulin resistance. Craving sweets after meals. I just ate a great dinner, fantastic meal. I need something sweet. Please give me a dessert. Just even something little would taste so good. Insulin resistance. These are our signs here. And then also weight gain is what's going to happen. And so what do we have to do? First thing we got to do is change that diet. The biggest and best thing you can do is cut out carbs, especially processed foods, processed carbs. Yeah, the fast foods, the baked goods, the breads, the pastas, all that stuff that I know is yummy. It's leading to your detriment. It's not good. Maybe every once in a while, and especially once you reach your goals, then you can start to indulge a little because you know how to control it. But if you are serious about this, if you have these types of issues, you have to take action, especially if you have visceral fat, something that's going to create problems for you, either coming up quickly or as time goes by. And then the other thing we can do, our other kind of weapon there, is intermittent fasting. This has been shown in the research over and over to help reduce weight, reduce fat. When we're going periods without eating, our body starts to feed on us, which is a great thing because we have all this storage. Now, to do that correctly, watch one of my other videos, which I'll put a link to up on the screen. And then I'll put a link below also, because the intermittent fasting, if you don't know the basics, you're not going to know how to do it. Now, on top of the intermittent fasting, the thing is you can't say, okay, I'm going to intermittent fast, but then I'm going to eat pizza and burgers and fries when I do eat. Yeah, you're defeating the purpose. You're still producing insulin surges with that. So now you got to know how to eat on that. And if you really want to go for it, then you're going to go to more of a ketogenic type diet. And what do you need to do for a ketogenic diet? Because it's really pretty easy. It's just having some willpower to change your life. So number one, you're probably going to be about 75% fats on this diet. Wait a second, don't fats cause fatty organs? No, the research totally shows that carbs, especially processed carbs, cause fat. Fat doesn't cause fat. Fat is an amazing energy source. And of course, good fats. So what kind of fats do we want for the 75%? Yeah, we can get this from nuts and seeds. We can get this from olive oil. We can get it from avocados and avocado oil. We can get it from MCT oil. Lots of great fats and oils out there that we can utilize. So if you're eating about 75% fat, then you're only going to eat about 10 to 15% carbs in your diet. What are those carbs? No, it's not spaghetti. It's not bread. No, you're looking at carbs from spinach, kale, asparagus, Brussels sprouts, and then we're going to go down to protein. So protein, about 10 to 15% protein. Where can you get this great protein? Well, you can get it from steak, chicken, fish, even some nuts and seeds. You can get protein. Here's the thing, though. Protein is not the bad guy. Protein must be done, though, in moderation. It's the amount that matters with protein. So again, watch those protein levels. You can't have a big T-bone. You need little pieces of this meat to equal your 10 to 15%. You put that ketogenic on top of intermittent fasting, there's probably no stopping you. All right. What's the next thing you've got to do? You've got to get down inflammation in your body. There's a fire in that. Insulin at high levels. If you're insulin resistant, you're making too much insulin. This is creating a fire in your body. It's causing inflammation throughout your body, which is not good. You've got to get inflammation down. People who have insulin resistance, diabetes, pre-diabetes, the complaint of aches and pains and all these things. Well, part of that's due to these large amounts of insulin that are being released. And then the inflammatory effects that fat cells actually make these inflammatory cytokines that increase inflammation more. So how do we halt this fire in the house? How do we calm it down? We can use some things like resveratrol, which is a great anti-inflammatory. What in the heck is EGCG? That comes from green tea. Yeah, drink your green tea. Curcumin, that comes from turmeric. And sulforaphane, what the heck is that? That comes from your cruciferous veggies, like your broccolis. So again, a lot of times though, eating foods will help, but they're not going to be potent enough if you're already in this stage. You're going to need to do a supplementation to give you enough of this to really put out the fire. Once the fire's out though, then you can probably maintain it via diet, and you probably don't need as much supplementation. And what's the other great thing that we can do? Exercise. And it's not just, hey, I'm going to go walk 10 miles, run 10 miles. I got this goal of this long distance. Eventually, I'm going to be a marathon runner and I'm going to emaciate my body. No, that's the worst thing you can do. The research totally is secure in saying high intensity interval training. I'm going to also put up a link for that video on there too, because I think it's important that you watch that. That's usually 20 seconds of high intensity, then rest. 20 seconds high intensity, rest. 20 seconds high intensity, rest. And that video will explain more of that because it makes exercise super easy. You don't have to do it for very long, and it's extremely effective. The other thing is resistance and weights, shown in the research to do magical things, great things. When you lift weights or do resistant, it doesn't mean you're going to be this bulked up person. It doesn't mean you're going to gain big muscles. No, that actually takes a lot more work. You can't get there easily. What you're going to do is tone, and you're going to break down your fats. So this can be a fantastic thing. What else can we do? Well, I'm actually going to even give you a bonus here. I think some more information in helping this from the research can even be more effective in this. So here's the bonus material I'm going to give you. Let me pull it up because pretty neat stuff here. Okay, so how can you help with fatty liver, visceral fat? One of the biggest things in the research that really solves fatty liver in the research, phosphatidylcholine, time and time again, works in decreasing or eliminating fatty liver. Works amazingly well. Can you get enough from your diet? Well, I'd say eggs are a big source, but you're probably not going to get enough from your diet. You're probably going to need to supplement to help this out. So phosphatidylcholine, but what does it do? It activates this gene, this PPAR gene. Now, this PPAR gene, very important. Now, number one, in order for this PPAR gene to work correctly, can't have inflammation. We actually address that with those other supplements that I just talked about, like resveratrol. But now, in order for this PPAR gene to really cause fat metabolism, you utilize the phosphatidylcholine, activates the PPAR gene, then you get fat metabolism. Amazing how it can really just dissolve the fat off the organs. Excellent stuff. Now, here's the thing. If you're like, hey, I've been taking my phosphatidylcholine, I went to the doctor, he said my liver still is just as fatty. Well, that means you're vitamin A deficient. So let's put it this way. In order for this PPAR gene to work, it is what we call RXR dependent. That's a retinoic acid gene, meaning it's vitamin A related. So you have to have good levels of vitamin A. Vitamin A, you can get it from foods. You can look that up, different foods that are high in vitamin A, or supplement. Vitamin A is not the bad guy that builds up, that's toxic if you take too much like it's been purported to be. Actually, vitamin A is great, and especially when it's combined with the other fat-soluble vitamins, vitamin D, vitamin A, vitamin K1 and K2. When those are all put together in a supplement, I think it's in the best form you can get. All right. Also, go up to one of our other videos here I think you really like that relates to a lot of this. God bless, and I'm going to see you on the next one. Okay.